The Batman hits movie theaters. We have a special non-spoiler review. We are visiting also the Gilded Age. We're hitting those casting calls and ending with what we're watching. For the Hub on Hollywood, I'm James.
I'm Jamie. Get ready to get fancy.
All right, Jamie. So we have a lot to talk about, and I think a lot of really great things that we've both recently watched. For me, being the Batman, and for you, the Gilded Age, which
That's
I'm
right.
just learning about, but it sounds very exciting.
It is very exciting because not only is this like a really cool new show, but we're going to tell you how to you can get in it right now if you're in the New England region. So stay tuned for that. But first, you saw The Batman.
The Batman. Ooh,
Yeah.
This one, I left the theater very, very happy, very, very satisfied.
Okay.
So, The Batman, directed and written by Matt Reeves, also co-written with Peter Craig. We are introduced to a young Batman, played by Robert Pattinson. This is 2 years into being the Caped Crusader. So, we find Bruce Wayne, the Batman, having to find and discover and stop the Riddler, who is played by Paul Dano, who's killing people in positions of high power in Gotham City. Zoe Kravitz, she plays Selina Kyle, also known as Catwoman. Jeffrey Wright, he's coming in as Jim Gordon. Colin Farrell, amazingly playing the Penguin. And we have Andy Serkis playing Alfred. And as I mentioned to you before, my overall thoughts on this is not a perfect movie, but this is an excellent Batman movie. The great acting, I think it helps give this universe a more grounded Batman, something that is a lot grittier, a lot more brutal. And this movie really showcases the great detective skills of Batman. For years, we've all known, from the comics to the movies to the cartoons, that Batman is the world's greatest detective, but that hasn't really been highlighted in many of the previous movies. We've seen some, detective work, some computer analysis and whatnot, but Batman is really doing real detective work, boots on the ground, investigating, interrogating people, looking for clues. And I think the villain, the Riddler, was the perfect villain to introduce us to this version of the Batman. Again, not only is Batman honing his skills to be the Dark Knight, but he still makes mistakes because he's still learning the ropes and everything. This movie, if you like thriller mysteries like Seven, if you like the Zodiac Killer, those vibes, this movie has it. And I think some of the best Batman choreography that we've seen so far. And so I can go on for days and days about everything I loved about this movie. But do you have any questions?
Yeah, I do.
Or,
I have
concerns
questions for you. Okay, so I had read a few reviews that this was a little bit sloppy, a little bit messy, the story, and that it didn't exactly come together. So I wanted to know whether you felt that way. But I thought the cinematography, from what I saw, looked amazing. So what did you think?
Visually and in regards to the cinematography, it is beautiful, and it does bring the way that this is shot, really brings the city to life, as well as all the other characters. But as for the story, I thought it was a very well put together story, and one of the better Batman stories that we've gotten. Very well written, and I think the plot and the reasons why the Riddler is doing what he's doing, I thought it was very justified, very believable, and you can see where this character's coming from. So, and I thought they connected a lot of it. I would agree that there were some parts that I would say could be cut out. This does have a runtime of 2 hours and 55 minutes. Ooh, and so it is a long Batman movie. Yes. and so there are parts that could have been cut out. There's some parts that I don't think necessarily needed to be included in this movie, because there's definitely going to be a sequel or a third one after this. But I thought the storyline worked. I thought all the characters, all the actors were fantastic in their roles, especially Colin Farrell, who is unrecognizable in this movie.
Yeah, I know Colin Farrell had said that being in that makeup was very liberating, because he could very easily slip into being just a completely and totally different person. Yeah, when I first found out that was Colin Farrell after seeing the original trailers, I didn't believe it. I just absolutely didn't believe it. It was incredible.
I had to look it up too, yeah.
Yeah, so that looks amazing. Anything that Andy Serkis does is unbelievable. He's one of those classic, characters that he gets so into it, and he can become anything. And I think he's one of the most underrated performers out there. He's by far one of my favorites. So I'm looking forward to seeing Andy Serkis in this. So I appreciate this is the non-spoiler review. So I really want to see that. How did Robert Pattinson, how does he measure up to the other Batmans?
He plays an excellent Batman. I think he plays an excellent Batman, and in this movie, I think this may be the longest runtime that Batman has had on screen. Because you could look back at the Dark Knight or the Christopher Nolan movies. There's a lot of Bruce Wayne in there, but this is inherently a Batman movie, and so we see him dressed up as Batman a lot. Either that or like some other kind of camouflage. He's doing some detective work, so he's trying to fit in with a ball cap and hoodie and stuff. But he's still like that Batman character, and so I thought Robert Pattinson did an excellent job. He was menacing, he was brutal, he was smart. I don't want to say, and I don't want to compare Batmans. I don't want to say, this Batman is better than this Batman. But I would say Ben Affleck's version of Batman is maybe the most comic that we've seen in real life. But this Batman, I want to say, again, I don't want to say he's better than Christian Bale, but this is such a great interpretation of this character, and I think Robert Pattinson plays it very well. He is a very broken individual. This Batman is a lot more still traumatized by his history, and again, this is year 2 into being and becoming Batman, so a lot of this is still new to him, and he's still learning a lot about this, and he's using this form of being Batman to cope with his trauma, of course. But I thought he did a fantastic job. I'm really excited to see where Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson take this, because every character was maybe not every character had the time to shine, but every character is a scene stealer. They acted and did a very great job. Zoe Kravitz did a great job as Catwoman. Again, Riddler, I think he was a very good introductory villain for Batman, showing that not only can he kick butt physically, but he's also very smart, and he's good at deducing and using his detective skills. So the only con I would say, again, would be maybe the length. Maybe a Batmobile chase could have been shorter, but other than that, I can't stop thinking about this movie. The Batsuit, the Batmobile worked for me. Gotham City worked for me. I can't recommend this movie enough. And I definitely want to see it again in theaters, because I watched it in IMAX, and just feeling the rumble and the score, the music. You can tell I really enjoyed this movie. So if you're on the fence or anything, if you think you weren't sure if Robert Pattinson can really don the cape, he can, and he does a great job with this portrayal and this interpretation. So I recommend it.
That's
fantastic. 2 bat thumbs up.
Yeah, 2 bat thumbs up. Yay! Okay, I can't wait. Now you've got me hyped. If you've seen it, If you've seen it, what do you think? Again, be wary of the spoilers. I'm sure we could talk spoilers later, but in the comments down below, be wary. But let us know what you think about this. Who are you excited to see? There's already a lot of talk of where the sequel could go. Pulling from comics and from video games, and so I'm very excited with this world that they've created. All right. Well, that's like I said, you've hyped me up. Now I definitely, absolutely have to go see this. But if you are interested in let's say, a Gotham of the past, a historical Gotham sort of show, James, I've been catching up on the Gilded Age, which focuses on late 1800s New York City, huge boom of wealth. And you've got all of these new money folks that are coming in, the Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts, and all of these new money folks coming into the city, building new and incredible things, growing what we know to be Manhattan today. And so that's sort of the setting of this Gilded Age show that is on HBO Max right now. If you love Downton Abbey, I don't know if you are a Downton Abbey guy.
I'm aware of it's out there. Everyone talks about it. I've never seen it.
Well, if you are a Downton Abbey lover, James, you're really going to dig the Gilded Age. So it focuses on this one family in particular, the Russells, and they've built this empire of wealth on the railroads, based on building railroads across America. So they're one of those new money families. They build this palatial home in Manhattan, only to be snubbed by the old money society that's been there for hundreds of years. And they're threatened by these up and coming millionaires, these whippersnappers, and they don't want to mingle. They don't want to mingle. Apparently, their money is not good enough, James. I didn't even know this, so this was really interesting, like, historically.
Oh, yeah, there's a big divide of old and new money. It's like, ridiculous.
Money is money, isn't it? Like, money is money is money. It's like, no, you have to have had this money for thousands of years. And it's like, oh, come on.
If anything, I'm better than you. The new money is better than the old money, I think. Because it shows, like, I'm getting it now. This wasn't handed to me.
Exactly. It shows initiative, and it shows that workmanship or whatever. But it's like these old money people are kind of the royalty, you might say, of early America and all of that. So it's really interesting to see the conflicts here. You've got, the new money folks being snubbed from the opera. So because they're not given box seats, they decide to just build a new opera. It's, very glamorous dynamics. So you've got the Russells in their new palatial home, and you've got right across the street is the old money family. These two sisters, the Van Heelens, I believe. I don't pronounce it very well. But they have a niece who comes to live with them because her father left her penniless. It's the same, brother that, left them penniless, and they had to sacrifice a lot in order to keep themselves going, to marry money and to keep the family going. And so they take in their niece, and they're like, no, you're old money, and we're going to find a good match for you, because all of the aunt's money has to go to her son, so they're trying to set up the niece as well as they can. And it's just all of these societal dynamics, all of these ridiculous rules. The acting is so on point. I'm loving it so far. So Bertha Russell is played by Carrie Coon, who's just passionate, and she's just so she's scorned. She is a woman scorned.
Oh no, you don't want to mess with her.
And she vows revenge on these people, and it's interesting to see the cutthroat nature of it. So Downton Abbey, not so much cutthroat. This one, very much cutthroat. You've got George Russell, played by Morgan Spector, and you see his very, vicious business dealings with the railroad. If you cross him, he will destroy you and take all the money anyway. And there is collateral damage here. There is collateral damage. There is, death as a result of all of this money, and it's just crazy. It's very glamorous, very beautiful. But you also get the perspective from the servants and all of that. You've got a very unique character, someone we didn't have in like a Downton Abbey type show, Peggy Scott, who's African American and comes to live with the Van Ryns, and becomes a secretary and is working her way up and is a writer and is getting published in the newspapers. And so you get really interesting, unique perspectives. One from the young niece who comes into New York and doesn't know anything, has no prejudice, but is learning the ways of old and new money, and she kind of takes you through all of that society. And the perspective from Peggy Scott, who is African American and is dealing with prejudice and injustice, but is very talented and comes from a well-to-do family and has her own hopes and dreams. So I'm totally hooked. Hook, line, and sinker.
How's the aesthetics, the look, the settings where they film?
Yeah, no, it's gorgeous. So my only critique is that the graphics are a little not believable, and it's a little too clean. Okay, I know what 1800s New York City
like
was
everyone
like.
Has pearly white teeth and
the streets are too clean. Like I am like, even where the rich people lived, it was mud. Okay, it's just it's little everywhere. Too. you can tell when there's green screens and stuff like that. It's like I think they could have maybe invested a little bit more in the CGI here to make it look a little bit more believable. But the storylines are very compelling and they draw you in. And apparently, James, there is an opportunity for you to be in the Gilded Age. And for me to be in anyone living in the New England region who is willing to travel to Rhode Island, because they are going to be filming a good part of season 2 in Rhode Island, and we'll get into that in just a minute. But if there was, I don't know if you had any other questions about the Gilded Age, but I highly recommend it. It airs on Mondays. New episodes are dropping every week, coming out on Mondays.
All right, excellent. No, it's so people who love those type of time
period
pieces,
dramas,
period
right.
dramas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, excellent. All right, well, let's try to get some more people into some of these period dramas, as well as some other commercials and films and other projects that are filming in and around the Massachusetts area.
All right, James, so let's kick this off. How can you get in the Gilded Age? How can you wear those spectacular corsets
and dresses
and crowns and and get in a horse and carriage and oh my gosh, it's just so beautiful. Okay, so they are casting in Newport, Rhode Island. They're looking for people who are local, but if you're willing to make the drive and you have that availability, don't tell, just put in for it anyway. So they're Newport, Rhode Island. They're looking for actors, anyone really, to appear as background performers. This is paid work. They are going to want you to register with gwci.app/talent or email your name, your SAG ID if you have it, phone, email, height, weight, clothing size, shoe size, and current photos to gildedage@gwcnyc.com and write Newport Local in the subject line. So this is going to be, they're casting for season 2. You're going to have a COVID vaccine. That's standard at this point. But looking for women who have natural colored hair. You will be fit into corsets, so just be prepared for that. These are most likely 12 to 14, 16-hour day long shoots. So if you're comfortable wearing a corset for that amount of time, go for it. So it just sounds amazing. It sounds like a lot of fun. Definitely go in for that right now. That's for the Gilded Age Season 2, filming in Rhode Island right now. What have you got, James?
Okay, so we have Slay Casting. We're looking for male welding and sculpting artists who are 45 years old or older. This is a paid gig, pays $1,500 if you are cast. No acting experience is necessary. This is for a non-union commercial project. So if you are a male welding, sculpting artist, perfectionist, this role is for you. So you'll want to send your current photos of yourself, your name, your information, agent if you have one, a little bit about your backstory, your welding or sculpting experience. Send all that to slaterealpeoplecasting@gmail.com, slaterealpeoplecasting@gmail.com. We have Slay Casting also looking for competitive female swimmers who are between 18 and 35 years old. Also a non-union commercial project that pays $1,500. No acting experience is necessary for this one. Same deal. Photos, name, contact information, and your swimming experience. Send that to slaterealpeoplecasting@gmail.com.
Beautiful. And finally, Boston Casting is looking for female contortionists. James, do you know anyone who can put their legs? I can't even.
I can touch my toes, but I'm
showing my feet. Yeah, I can't even touch my toes. So, but if you can, and if you can throw your legs behind your head or whatever, they're looking for female contortionists for an upcoming film. All ethnicities. This shoots March 18th through May 15th. That's a long period of time, but they're only looking for the contortionist to work for a few of those days in that time period. You're going to want to send contact information, current photos, and your experience as a contortionist to Boston Casting Submit 4 at gmail.com for that one.
Yeah, it says you'll likely only need a few days of shooting, so you have to be flexible for this role. Oh, I'm terrible. I know. I'm sorry.
For more quality content like this, join us.
Yeah,
on
this
the
is why
Hub
you
on
follow
Hollywood.
us on the Hub on Hollywood for this pure. Oh
Yeah.
goodness! But let me tell you what else is pure and awesome, or that'll warp your mind. Maybe not. Maybe this movie will bend your mind.
In a good way?
It depends who you are, if this is a good or bad movie. But for our wrap-up of what we're watching, my fiance and I, apparently we're on this Nicolas Cage bender that we're just going through old 80s and 90s movies starring Nicolas Cage. And the latest one we had, we watched Honeymoon in Vegas a while ago. That's a household favorite. Then we followed that up with Raising Arizona, where Nic Cage and Holly Hunter steal a baby from a set of quintuplets.
Right.
And then the pure Nic Cage energy. And this one is the follow-up, Wild at Heart, that came out in 1990. Another pure, Nic Cage energy-filled movie. So this is, you haven't seen this, right? Directed by David Lynch?
No.
So, directed by David Lynch, we're following, after serving prison time for a self-defense killing, Sailor Ripley, played by Nic Cage, reunites with his girlfriend Lula Fortune, played by Laura Dern of Jurassic Park fame. However, Lulu's mother, Marietta, she's desperate to keep them apart because Sailor, he's bad news. He's a rough and tumble guy. He's bad news for this daughter, but she hires a hitman to kill Sailor, but he finds a whole new set of troubles as he and this other guy, played by Willem Dafoe, they try to rob a bank. They try to rob a store, rather, and then things get even more out of hand. This is, I'm not sure how familiar you are with David Lynch films, but this is another creative endeavor that is very trippy. It's a very trippy David Lynch movie because, this is a story about young lovers who are trying to flee and make a life of their own. There's also a lot of controversy with this film because back in the day and through the years of its being reviewed, the things that are repeatedly brought up are how brutal it is when it comes to the gore. And, in the opening scene, Nic Cage kills this guy who initially tries to kill him, so he kills him in self-defense, but it's like overkill, and he goes to jail for it, and then he gets released later. And then there are other scenes where it deals so much with trauma and sexual assault, and it's very, just like, you're like squirming in your seat kind of trauma that you're being subjected to watching this film. But I can understand why some are very turned off by this film as well, saying that it's all over the place. A lot of these scenes don't need to be there, and I will admit there are so many segments of this film that are just there that I feel are just to be weird, just for weird's sake. Yeah. And so that didn't rub me the right way. Again, the acting is way over the top, and like in many David Lynch films, way over the top acting, which is perfect and in the range of Nicolas Cage. Willem Dafoe is disgustingly a terrible human being in this movie. That just goes to show how good of an actor Willem Dafoe is. But he is a scumball, the worst of the worst scumball, and you can't wait till he dies. But Wild at Heart, not for the faint of heart, if you're going to be watching this film. So, enter at your own risk for this one. But so that's my take.
What's the next Nicolas Cage movie on your list?
I don't know. We've both seen Con Air. We've both seen The National Treasure, at least the first movie together. So we had to find another, sometime in the range of like 80s and 90s Nic Cage.
Okay.
Yeah,
all
maybe
right.
Face Off. I've seen Face Off, so we're going to try to watch something we haven't watched before.
Okay.
But this one I'm not going to be watching again. Thank you. What about yourself?
Well, I've been watching The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Which is back now on Amazon Prime. Season 3. So Mrs. Maisel is back. If you haven't watched it before, it's about late 1950s Miriam Midge Maisel. She starts off with everything. She's a Jewish family, lots of money, beautiful parents, husband, kids. She's got everything in New York's Upper West Side. And it all falls apart. Her husband leaves her, and because he's a comic, and she's funnier than him, and he can't handle it. And she accidentally ends up being a comedian herself because she can't handle what's happening to her, so she takes off in the middle of the night, and she ends up at one of these clubs and does stand up in her nightgown, and tears running down her face about what's going on in her life, and one thing leads to another. So by the end of season 2, spoiler alert, she's doing very well for herself. She's on this incredible world tour with a singer, Shy Baldwin. When it all comes crashing down. I won't say why, but it all comes crashing down. And so now she has to start from nothing again at the beginning of season 3. And I'm loving it. Is Tony
Shalhoub in this movie, in this show?
It's possible. I can't put the face to the name at this moment, but
we'll do some investigative work. Returns, yeah, he is in the Emmy-winning Monk star, which is another great show, Monk, if you've never watched it. Mm-hmm. He plays like this neurotic, like a detective of some sort. Really fun. But yeah, Tony Shalhoub and the marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
It is genuinely hilarious and raunchy. And it's a man's world. It is definitely a man's world at this time in the late 1950s. And she has to deal with that. She is funnier than most of the men around her, but she's not allowed to tell jokes. She's not allowed to tell the same kinds of jokes, and does actually get thrown in jail a bunch. And it does feature some real historical comedians of the day. It features a few, including Lenny Bruce. There we go. That was the name I was looking for. So she interacts with Lenny Bruce. It's great. It's really, really funny. It will make you laugh out loud. A lot of shows can't do that. So I definitely recommend The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I'm trying to get an episode in here and there, in between watching Encanto and and Blippi and Coco Melon and all the other standard little kid shows. So The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, if you can, it's great.
All right,
great
excellent. Laugh. Well, go check out those recommendations. Again, for Wild at Heart, enter at your own risk. But Mrs. Maisel seems like a much more fun experience at this time. But again, thank you so much for watching us here on the Hub on Hollywood. If you are watching us on YouTube, be sure to like, share, comment down below. What are you watching? What are your thoughts on the Batman movie or the Gilded Age as well? You can also follow us on any social media platform, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, at Hub on Hollywood. You can listen to us on any of the major podcasting streaming services, iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, we are there. Jamie, yeah, this is a really fun show, a lot of great stuff to watch, and a pleasure. A pleasure as always.
Well, I'm going to go watch the Batman now.
Yes.
So, and I hope you guys are too. Let us know what we should be watching next. And until next week, I'm Jamie.
I'm James. Bye.
We'll see you then.